Sarah inherited a $400,000 IRA from her father. She thought she could leave it alone for 10 years and let it grow. But because of one IRS rule, that single decision could cost her tens of thousands of dollars in unnecessary tax. The problem wasn't the inheritance. The problem was the timing. Her father did everything right. Then the rules changed, and nobody told her the clock was already running. Before 2020, inheriting an IRA was one of the most powerful transfers in retirement planning. It was called the Stretch IRA. A non-spouse beneficiary, an adult child, a sibling, could spread those withdrawals across their entire lifetime. A $400,000 account could keep compounding and pay out over 30 or 40 years. Then, in late 2019, Congress passed the Secure Act. For most non-spouse beneficiaries, the Stretch IRA is gone. In its place, the 10-year rule. You have 10 years to empty the entire account. Every dollar out by December 31st of the 10th year after your parent's death. Here's what most people miss. The 10-year rule comes in two versions, and which one applies depends on a single fact: how old your parent was when they died. Version 1. Your parent died before their required beginning date, before the age when distributions are forced to start. In this case, you're not required to take anything in years 1 through 9. You can let it sit, let it grow, and clear the account in year 10. That flexibility is genuinely valuable, if you plan around it. Version 2. Your parent had already reached their required beginning date. For many of today's retirees, that means age 73 or later. Now you must take a withdrawal every year, years 1 through 9, and still empty whatever's left by year 10. Sarah's father was 75. He'd been taking required distributions for years, so Sarah is in version 2. She doesn't get to choose whether to take money out, only how much, above the minimum. And here's the part that catches almost everyone. Those required minimums are small. They're calculated across Sarah's full life expectancy. At 45, that's about 40 years. So the minimum is only around 2 to 3% of the account each year. If Sarah takes only the minimum, she barely moves the balance. She arrives at year 10 still holding the bulk of that $400,000, and now the law demands all of it in a single year. The minimum feels safe. It's actually the setup for the worst tax year of her life. Let's put real numbers on it. A simple illustration: $400,000 inherited, an $80,000 salary, today's tax brackets. Say Sarah takes only the minimums, then clears the remaining $400,000 in year 10. That year her income stacks up: $80,000 in salary, $400,000 from the IRA, roughly $480,000 in 1 year. Look at where that lands for a single filer in 2026. The 22% bracket ends at about $106,000. The 35% bracket begins at $256,000. Sarah's largest dollars are now taxed at 35%. In that 1 year, the inherited money alone adds about $122,000 to her federal tax bill. She opened an envelope expecting a gift. The IRS had already addressed its share. Now run it the other way. Instead of waiting, Sarah takes about $40,000 every year for 10 years. Each year her income is $80,000 in salary plus $40,000 from the IRA, $120,000 total. That keeps her in the 22% bracket, never 35. Across the full decade, the inherited money adds about $88,000 in federal tax, spread out, never spiking. Same $400,000 inherited, same tax code, same brackets. The difference is more than $34,000, and the only variable she changed was timing. That's not an investment return. That's not a market call. It's bracket management, the one lever she fully controls. There's one more move the savviest beneficiaries make. If Sarah ever hits a lower income year, a layoff, a sabbatical, a stretch of part-time work, that's the year to pull more from the inherited IRA while her bracket is low. A lower income year can also be the right time to coordinate other Roth strategies, not by converting the inherited IRA itself. A non-spouse beneficiary generally can't convert an inherited IRA into a Roth, but by using that low tax year to take more from the inherited account while separately funding a Roth IRA or Roth 401k if she's eligible. The account her father built stops being just a countdown clock. Handled well, it becomes part of a tax plan. A few beneficiaries escape the 10-year rule entirely. The IRS calls them eligible designated beneficiaries. There are 5: a surviving spouse, a minor child of the original owner, a disabled individual, a chronically ill individual, and anyone not more than 10 years younger than the person who died. These beneficiaries can still stretch withdrawals across their own life expectancy. But note the limits. A minor child loses the exemption at the age of majority. Then the 10-year clock starts. A sibling more than 10 years younger does not qualify. An adult child does not qualify. Sarah does not qualify. For her, the 10-year rule is simply the reality to plan around. Sarah's father did everything right. He saved. He deferred. He left her something real. The 10-year rule isn't a punishment, it's a schedule. And that's the real lesson here. The mistake isn't inheriting an IRA. The mistake is treating the 10-year rule like a deadline instead of a 10-year tax planning window. If you've inherited a retirement account, or you expect to, don't wait until year 10 to think about it. Talk to a CPA or a fiduciary advisor before your first distribution, because the clock may already be running. This video is for educational purposes only. It is not financial, tax, or legal advice. The figures shown are simplified illustrations based on 2026 federal tax rules. They exclude state taxes, account growth, and your personal circumstances, which will differ. Tax laws change. Please consult a qualified professional before acting on an inherited account. If this cleared things up, subscribe. Every week, we break down one retirement blind spot most people never see coming, and share it with someone who's about to inherit an account. It might be the most valuable 10 minutes you give them.